You hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay. So I'm gonna, go into my presentation. And all right. So last time, for those of you that caught it, a thing I've been experimenting with of late is trying to have a place that I can log various thoughts as they occur to me related to Forth. I So I created appropriately a tool that uses Forth blocks that is on the web. Right now, it's a tool just for me, although I have put the code for it in the attic directory in the micro uEforth repo. It's a The intention is really just to start trying the method as a sort of diarist thing, but also I have wanted to connect it with use of Forth and not just jotting down of notes about Forth. And what I want to talk about today is the that I've added Forth into it. And so to kind of briefly recap and then also catch you all up, the editor is this environment that you're seeing right now. It lets you move around a cursor in a 64 by 16 area with the arrow keys. You can do page up and page down to move between block screens. The screen number is in the corner. If you type, it inserts. If you delete, it deletes. But it does it with sort of only a small local look ahead to allow you to shift things around. So if you have something like hello there, and then let's say you put the there way over here, if you were to type and keep going, it only bumps the other guy over when you get there. So kind of simple local rule that lets you move things around. There's a status line down below. It shows things. You'll note that very briefly the letter D appears after I type because it's periodically auto-saving after a few seconds. It also is being careful about when it loads. So when it saves a block at a time. When it loads chunks of 64 blocks. And no assumptions are made as to how you would cope with multiple users touching the same block set at once. The assumption is one user and me. There's an operation to find an open block. So if I'm looking to just add something new, I can hit Control O. It pops me here. It found that block 91 is open, and I could put something there. I can hit Control B to go back, which I recently added as well, which is handy. So there's a stack of each time that there's been a jump in the position of the block that you're on. Another thing you can do is you can jump to an empty block and then you can hit Control L, and it creates a log entry with a date stamp. And this is something that I use to produce most of the entries. And the intention eventually with that is to be able to maybe do some structured processing of the material there. Not in love with the format, but it was what I found that I was doing myself. I wanted some prefix and I wanted the date. There's a support for following a link. If I hit, for example, so if I hit Control Enter, what it will do is it will look either for the next @ sign followed by a number, or the next search string in a set of parens. And in this case, it jumps me to block 1. I've found the search strings, and go back, not as useful, but that may just be because it's hard to find a unique string that uniquely identifies a block. So I may just double down on the numbers and take out the links. There's an option to run JavaScript code. And so if I, let's say, go to an open block and I put alert, actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see alerts. And oops. So if I hit Control J here, that didn't do what I was supposed to do. Why didn't that do what it was supposed to do? Oh, I'm sorry. There is an error in the slide. So I don't know if was the alert visible to folks with the way I'm sharing the screen? Let me do that again. Anyways, I'm sorry. Control J is tied to some other functionality in the browser, so I ended up going with Control G. That's not particularly useful for anything. My original goal was to sort of have enough functionality I could sort of do interesting things from it. There is also one block here at 64. Oops, not 64. 63. 63 because initially the system loads 64 blocks, and so that's something that is there right away. This bootstrap block gets run, and it's able to do things like edit the key map that's there. So if I hit the tab key, currently it's just going to fire off an alert similar to where we were at. Let me jump back to problems I've given. Okay, here we go. So that's the editor. But the thing that I didn't have the last time I talked about all this, aside from some of the, actually, there's one other thing. I also have some functionality. When I gave my first talk on this at FIG, then I got an email from Dave Jaffe. He was like, "Well, where's your slides?" And it's like, "Oh, well, they're locked in this environment." And so I wanted to have a mode where I could turn them into a format that I could hand out to somebody. So I have a notion of if you mark let's say I wanted to take this slide here, and I hit Control M, and then I go back here and I hit Control P, it will print the slides in a form that I can publish and point to folks. So that's what I've been doing for that. But anyways, what I wanted to do was add Forth to it next, obviously. After some sort of internal thoughts about do I bootstrap another Forth, I ended up reusing uEforth. uEforth can be loaded via a script tag, and then you can just inject Forth code with another script tag, which makes it pretty easy to add into some other web application. There's a syntax for defining Forth words with arguments that are implemented using JavaScript code, and that lets you hook in to the editor. And the net result is that if I hit Control F, it fires up this uEforth environment. And the editor is still there, so I can hit Control F to toggle back and forth between the two. And stuff is there and does what it does. And but that's not directly interesting. What's more interesting is that it is able to share the block space with the editor. And so if I go here and I do 88 load, I'm running the contents of this block. And so I've got the option to edit code in this environment in addition to notes. I haven't really used that for anything yet, but just having it is reassuring. So what comes next? Well, one thing I want to do is to try to keep using it. I found that it is I slipped a little bit between last month and now, but in general, I found it very useful at last month's meeting to take notes, and I found myself sort of ideating after Onat's presentation and in the environment, and I could scroll through here, and there's all sorts of notes I took on that presentation, and then also on sort of thoughts I had afterwards, looking at some of the recording and disassembling the instructions he had. I would love to have more tools to organize blocks. Right now, they're just I kind of have a rough scheme of where I'm laying things out, but you're kind of committed once you've put something down, so it's a little hard to shuffle things around. As I mentioned before, I'd like to maybe gather reports and process things. Better search facility. The idea of reusing the parens thing to as a search mechanism doesn't really work. Maybe what I actually need is a command line in the editor that might allow for sort of a search or command option. I mean, I guess they could do this, but it's that might be more natural. I'm not sure. I would like to highlight known layouts. When I have these log entries, let's say I go back. Oops, actually, let me use a smarter way. Oops, a smarter way to too many slides here. Let me use a smarter way. So if I hit Control H, it will go home, and then if I go to let's say back here, I can look at some of these log entries, and it'd be interesting to highlight that top log line, for example. And now I can go back, and I can go back again and come back to where I was. Another problem that I sidestepped, which I'm glad I've sidestepped, past environments, I've often wanted them to be multi-user, and that's hard for something block-based, because then you need to come up with some authentication scheme. I need to figure out if I want to host other people's blocks, or all of that. Whereas this is straightforward. I can keep my own stuff. So that's where this is, and I'll keep iterating on it and maybe periodically letting the group know about it. I have one other little small thing I wanted to show folks, because I found it interesting. It's unrelated to this topic, but before I do that, are there any quick questions on this?
Hi, Brad. This is Shiva.
I didn't quite get that. I'm hearing
Can you
you.
hear me?
I can hear you almost, yeah, barely.
Oh, okay.
Very staticky.
Sorry. Yeah. So, how much of this is JavaScript and how much of it is on the server side?
Good question. So the editor is almost entirely JavaScript. On the server, there is a very small Python program running on
Could
App
you repeat
Engine.
the question? Because
Oh
some of
yeah,
us didn't
sorry.
really
The
understand what you
question
were
was
saying.
how much of this is JavaScript, how much of this is Forth, how much of this is Python. So right now the only Forth is after you've plugged in the micro eForth environment. Then there's like a Forth bootstrapping piece of code that is really Forth mixed with JS to connect things like the blocks to it. The JavaScript is most of what you see, and then for saving on the server, there is a small server running on App Engine that understands a handful of request types to read 64 blocks to write a single block, and it's really just there for storage and authentication. So yeah, maybe like 100 lines of Python, and then the rest is all JavaScript.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Shoot.
A while ago you received, I'm sorry, this is sort of unrelated to your talk.
No worries.
Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. A while ago you received a free board
Yes.
with Raspberry Pi and a FPGA.
Yes.
I was hoping to somehow get you to do something more on that. Have you touched it lately?
I haven't. So I made some progress on the raw format for the FPGA, and I have a bunch of like sitting next to where I stash one computer. I've got a pile of printouts of the different layouts for the different FPGA block types, and I've got carefully marked in colored pencil the different pieces, and I had the start of generating some basic material with it, but that's on my list of stuff to cycle back to. So you're asking about it probably gives me a little nudge to like, yeah, I should get back to that. Every time I set down this laptop, actually, I go and look at that. I see it and I'm like, oh yeah, I should really get back to that. And it's at the point where I had kind of gathered the information I needed, and then I started writing what I wanted to do, by the way, for context for others, is that particular board is got a facility where you're able to, you got the host Raspberry Pi and then an attached ICE 40 FPGA, and the host is able to stream over a pattern to load on the FPGA, and there's the right sort of set of capabilities to be able to generate the FPGA layout programmatically and then reload it. And so what I'm aiming for there is to be able to have a fourth piece of code that generates the FPGA layout, regenerates it on the fly, so you don't even need synthesis tools. I've been able to sort of do that for a very simple block. Sorry, it's a very simple thing, but I haven't built up the right vocabulary to do it, and it's kind of tedious because the format is tedious. So
That's awesome.
yeah, thanks for the nudge, though. I will cycle that one in. A lot of different things I keep meaning to get back to. So
In the chat, Edward Boraski said that there's a new version of the board, and that both boards run the micro Python, I assume on the Raspberry Pi.
yeah.
So, and the final thing I wanted to say was that I did find a J1 that actually seems to be in particular for the Go board, which is an ICE 40 up. No, it's not an up. ICE 40 HX1K, which is in the same family. So it might actually, basically, there's already a fourth there that may be loadable on the FPGA. I don't know, but it's a J1.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, I think for me the thing that attracted me to the space is this idea of really using the FPGA dynamically. Maybe that's a fool's errand in the sense that at the end of the day you're going to have one thing that you probably ultimately want to run on it. But I
don't think it's a fool's errand. I think it would be awesome, man.
okay,
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
glad to hear it. So yeah, I think it's in that unpleasant stage of the bit patterns are fairly regular but kind of tedious, and so it's one of these like, oh, I just have to kind of slog through to get to get it to actually be reliable and do the right things so yeah, thanks for the nudge on that.
You're welcome. I do think that there is an open source tool chain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There definitely is.
Maybe be able to read the code or something like that. Or
so no. Yeah. In no small measure, the reason that I have any hope of sorting through it is that that open source tool chain is actually the basis of which I'm using to figure out like the formats. And so what's cool is that it's got the folks that did it seem to have done it both with an eye to hooking it into synthesis tools, but also they have a bunch of stuff around just the low level format, and there's actually a way to print out various various things about the relationship between the bit patterns and the clearly there was some amount of effort that went into reverse engineering it, and there's actually a handful of bits, at least as of when I last looked at their stuff, where they're sort of there's like mystery bits where they're not sure kind of what they're for, but they don't seem to be necessary to understand to be able to synthesize a thing for it. So but it's sort of a lot of it is, especially for I'm forgetting the term, the regular sort of blocks with LUTs. Those are pretty uniform, and there's not there's not a lot of room after you've got the bits for the LUTs, the bits for the connections. And actually, I should say the hardest part of all of it is the LUTs is the easy bit. The hard part is all of the interconnects and understanding the relationship between, you've got this many wires and this, this little thing that can route you and so on. But
Thank you so much, Brad.
cool. If there aren't any other questions, I'll show my other brief little thing here. So this is completely different, but it's something that I came across. So I found myself wondering the other day with LLMs that are out there. This has got no immediate Forth applications, but I'm bound to find some connection point. I was wondering, like, well, what does it look like if you run a really teeny tiny LLM, kind of in the range of what there might be some hope of running on a small board and so on. And I came across two, and I thought it was fascinating to see. One of them, there's this very tiny one. It's like a 28 megabyte model, and this one's horrible. But I wanted to, and it's actually slower than the other one, which I'll show in a second. But this is sort of in the realm of like run the LLM locally and be able to do stuff that's sort of completely offline. This one's slow probably because it's trying to do CUDA, and my device can't do CUDA. So, if you do like, why is the sky blue? It largely just loses its mind. So it, packs it into a particular, it's like, whoa, it's largely just, almost 100% hallucination. So that one's terrible. But so 28 megs doesn't get you much. But there's this other model from, I think it's Microsoft or somebody, where it's, so this one is actually just literally sitting here. So it's a 2.3 gigabyte model. So just 2.3 gigabytes on your local device. Like this runs offline with just Llama CPP, and, it can be standalone. So it's like, nothing that's hitting the internet and so on. And this is called Phi 3 Mini, and so it's, I guess, and it takes just a second to load. And we'll ask this one, why is the sky blue? And yeah, it's a little pokey. And apparently particularly pokey because I'm streaming and all the things, but yeah, it's actually, it's much slower than it usually is on this particular laptop when I'm not also running Zoom and other things. But in any event, it actually generates fairly cogent responses. It's fascinating if you, wow, this is slower than when I was running it just a moment ago, and I was not. Oh, it's probably because I'm the one presenting now. It's taking extra something. But anyways, it's maybe 4 times faster than this at least when I'm not streaming. But it gives reasonably useful answers. If you ask it questions about Forth, it knows very little about Forth. It will try to pretend that it can do Forth and will answer it. It seems to know a little bit more about C, but even there, if you, it's confused because I hit enter once. So it's now giving a longer response. So anyways, I'm going to stop that. The other cool thing that you can do with it is you can constrain it to with a a grammar, so you can tell it, I want, for example, here's a grammar in JSON. And so this one has been put in a mode where it assumes that it's going to output a JSON list of things. So you could do, I don't know, what are the colors of the rainbow? And it will ever so slowly generate JSON output. Oh, but it but it sometimes does nutty things like putting nulls in the thing. So it's like it's not, obviously the latest and greatest, but it's pretty good for something that fits in 2.3 gigabytes. So thought I'd put that out there to get if folks are interested in small models and so on. And that is it.
Your comment about 2.3 gigabytes. I remember when that used to be a lot of disk space, never mind memory space.
Yeah. But impressive impressive to be able to answer pretty arbitrary questions. Like I was able to ask it like questions about characters in Shakespeare plays, and it could readily answer. So
Yeah, there's this app for your cell phone, Android or iPhone, that will identify birds by their song and by the sounds that they make, and it is remarkably good. It just astounds me. And they have a offline portable version that the idea that you could fit that you could make it work at all, first of all, and second of all, that you could make it work offline without sending the stuff up to some horrific, horrendous, huge.
Can it tell a mockingbird?
I guess that would be a question for somebody that has the Merlin app and is located someplace where the where their mockingbirds are in fact active. But in any case,